Hi guys, so welcome back to this Legion of Shadow walkthrough guide. In the last episode we started Act 2, smashed our way through the green and orange quests and got a tasty new axe called Winter's Bite from Baron Greylock. So to recap our stats at the start of this playthrough, I was at 11 speed, 8 brawn, 1 magic, 4 armor, and I had 221 gold. Okay, so first off, at last we're heading south. I'm going to visit the town of No Hope, which is a ramshackle settlement on the edge of Blackmarsh. So we can ignore the kind invitation of a tour and head straight into the heart of the town. Visit the fighting pit at 286 because we're now going to start the arena chain. So our first combatant is going to be Left Hook Luke. So a incredibly super easy fight for us. We basically can't lose because we have a +4 speed advantage, which is crazy. We could basically do this with our hands tied behind our back, but sadly we don't need anything loot wise from him, but you know, just smash through him and we gain 30 gold, which brings me up to 251 gold. So once we've absolutely ravaged Left Hook Luke, proceed to the next fight, which is Zen the Minorian at 382. He's not as scary as he looks. We have a speed advantage. He does have the sort of charge attack, which rolls 3 dice for speed in the first round, but we have Trickster, which we can use potentially to steal his best die, so that's one way of getting through that. Basically it's a relatively easy fight. We also have Backfire at this point. We have Piercing to get through that pretty high armor. So once you pass that initial charge, it's a kind of super straightforward combat for us. So loot wise, 216, all of this stuff is really nice for us, but I chose to take Breastplate of the Bull because this has had a significant stat change in the patch notes, of which they are in the description below if you want to check them out. The patch notes that these are all the amends and changes that went into the Italian edition of Legion of Shadow. Anyway, so Breastplate of the Bull is now 1 speed and 3 brawn with charge. So we're going to lose our chitinous carapace and we're going to take the breastplate. So our armor drops by 2, but we gain 3 brawn, which is really nice. So stats wise after that, we are 11 speed, 11 brawn, 1 magic and 2 armor. Okay, so we get 40 gold from that victory, which brings me to 291 gold. Now things get a bit spicy. So we're going to get Knuckles, the resident ogre, to show us his special fight moves. And so by doing this, we learn the gladiator career. It's not super amazing, but it does give us 2 more abilities. Headbutt is really good as a sort of damage interrupt, but the real kind of icing on the cake in terms of the abilities here is Blood Rage, which is kind of easy for us to fire off. We just have to win 2 consecutive combat rounds, and then that gives us a +2 brawn boost for the entire rest of the combat, which would take us to 13 brawn. So yeah, so this is a really nice little boost for us, and we will keep this career until we ditch it for the ranger a little bit later on. Okay, so now we're going to take on Nelsa the Black Lion at 293. And if anyone hadn't spotted the kind of lore link there, Nelsa is actually Aslan, spelled backwards. So this is quite a scary fight. It has quite, yeah, tough stats. And if he gets the Mighty Roar off, which is very similar to our Blood Rage, in that if Nelsa wins 2 consecutive combat rounds, things get horrible. He increases his speed and brawn by 4. So basically, if he gets that off, it's pretty much game over. However, really, that should not trigger, because we have Headbutt now to interrupt him and stop him winning consecutive rounds. We also have Trickster, which is good for stopping him too. Basically, despite him looking scary on paper, we have all the tools to take him down. So get to it, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so my fight was close. I was down to 11 health. So for all my kind of cockiness, he did get off his roar near the end. So I had to pop my +3 speed potion, which I'm quite glad that I had. So that, and coupled with all the previous damage that I'd done, plus my passives, Bleeding Thorns, got me the kill in the end. But yeah, it was kind of close to the wire. So based off that experience, if you're struggling a bit, you may want to ditch the gold detector if you've got it, and maybe grab 2 +6 health potions, which you can craft or buy, just to heal you through, and then let your thorns and bleed get the rest of the work done for you. Okay, and a note here that I actually completely forgot to use Seer again, because I'm an idiot. But then I also go on to make another quite big mistake. And I'm going to get roasted in the comments for this. Absolutely. And I didn't notice that I'd made it until I was literally going through my notes prior to sort of recording. Okay, so I made the mistake of assuming that Mane of the Black Lion was a head item. So I equipped it in my head slot for the entire rest of my playthrough, when in fact it is a cloak item. So, and it shouldn't really be a cloak item, and if I ever get the chance to revisit, it's most definitely getting changed into a head item anyway. But it's not a very good cloak item because it doesn't have 2 speed, and really cloak items at this stage of Act 2 should be carrying 2 speed. Which is why, I don't know why in my head, because it's so similar to Mauler's Maw, I think something just happened in my brain where I was like, oh wow, Mane of the Black Lion. And I slapped it straight into my head slot. Okay, so now there's not a lot I can do about that. And I do give you permission as the creator and lord of all DestinyQuest, if you wish to follow my lead and take the Mane of the Black Lion and put it in your head slot, you're welcome to. If, however, you think that's cheating, can I be rest assured that the only thing I'm sort of really gaining is 1 brawn. Because at the minute you've got Flame Bathed Cowl, which is 1 speed and 2 brawn, and Seer. And in hindsight, I actually think Seer will end up being so much better, because once we get the Berserker career, once you're rolling those extra dice for raining blows, Seer is going to be doing so much more extra damage. And there's an argument that I probably should have kept Flame Bathed Cowl anyway. So I'll just leave that entirely up to you. I mean, if you don't want to cheat, I wouldn't take the Mane of the Black Lion as a cloak item. I would keep the Flame Bathed Cowl for now. Yeah. Okay, so after my mistake, so really all I'm doing is I'm gaining 1 brawn. And I do get fearless as a special ability, but I am 11 speed, 12 brawn, 1 magic, 2 armor. The other items I wouldn't really see any use for us at this point. So yeah, so but you do gain another 60 gold. So right, so we're not going to carry on with any more of the arena yet. We're going to do the blue quest, which is the Unicorn's Horn. I hate this quest. I hate it. I think I must have been on drugs or medication when I wrote it, but hey, we're going to do it because we need that ranger career. So, oh yeah, so before then though, it's revenge time. And I went back and I battled Vesuvius at 335. Because as you may remember in the previous guide, I got absolutely walloped by him. Anyway, it's a super easy fight now. We have speed advantage. We now have the gladiator abilities. I did it easily with 29 health left, and all the damage that I took was just from his molten armor passive. So from the rewards, if you remember before, I was going to take the gauntlets. I actually take the cloak. So I replaced Destroyer's Drape with the Flame Mantle cloak, which is, yeah, 2 speed, 1 armor. This is going back to what I was saying about cloaks really need to be 2 speed. That's why I don't understand the mane of the Black Lion being a cloak item. Anyway, this keeps our stats the same, but we replace Blackfire with Fire Aura, which is another amazing passive for us. It's also good because the end boss of the blue quest is immune to pretty much everything except fire. So, now, yeah, it was a tough choice because those gauntlets are really good, but they don't have speed. But anyway. Okay, so we head into the Unicorn's Horn quest, which is the blue quest. If you don't have the colour, it's 315. Okay, so we push through some lengthy exposition and setup, and we meet the Dryads, and we meet Burn Farstrider, who is a ranger. Quick shout out to my world companion, because if you're interested, there is a kind of background story which gives you quite a bit of info on the character of Burn Farstrider, just if you're interested. So after meeting all them, discovering this missing unicorn's horn, we end up pursuing a bunch of Reekin into the marsh. And that brings us to entry 534. Choice here doesn't really matter too much. It just kind of changes the slight order of a fight. We fight a Reekin mage and a Reekin hunter. Note that the mage is now nerfed in the patch notes and is now speed 10, making this a lot easier. And both fights are easy. The hunter, he can be annoying because he has the entrapment ability, but you know, we've got a speed advantage, so we can easily get past that annoying ability and destroy the net, which remember also takes damage from passive damage. So super easy fights. Afterwards we get 1 Bramble Thorn and 1 Thimble Sage. Both of these will let us brew a +10 health pot, and I do indeed do that because I have a space. Advance the story, then Burn sends us out to collect some rare herbs. Okay, so this is where things get really difficult for a walkthrough guide, because what happens next is random, and you can have a completely different set of encounters and reward choices based off the roll of a dice. So, okay, so I'll talk through what happened to me. So on my playthrough, I rolled a 2. Which, in my opinion, I thought, oh, this is kind of like the worst outcome, really, out of the 3 that you can have. But I just, you know, I proceeded with it. So when you roll the 2, you, investigate a sound, you cross to an island, and then you fight a boggart. It's easy fight. And then from the choices at 497, I chose to take the Bright Greaves because it gave me a +1 brawn and the Steadfast ability, which I kind of looked down on at the time and thought, but actually it's kind of useful in this act because there are a few stone giants that do have knockdown if they win a round, and so Steadfast allows us to ignore that. Okay, so, and also by taking that root, I got 2 Bramblethorn and 1 Rootgrass. Okay, so that was my outcome. If you want to stick 100% to my guide, then by all means, you know, follow that route, and then we're staying the same. But, you know, by all means, we're going to take a look at the other outcomes, so that if you do choose, if you want to go the randomness option, then let's take a look at some of the cool things you can get. So if you roll a 3 or a 4, I think it's probably the best outcome of the lot in some ways. You get to investigate the ruins, and then you can solve the dwarven puzzle using your compendium. This is a pretty easy puzzle. All you need to do is just work out which numbers you add and which numbers you subtract to reach the total of 20, and then based off that you're just working out the missing numbers. It's pretty easy. I don't think I need to kind of elaborate on that one. So out of the rewards at 397, I would probably take the necklace, Dour Fury, to replace Charm with Savagery. I think it's pretty nice. You don't need the stone tablet. It gets us a talisman later with piercing, which we don't need for that slot. Also, for all of us, by the way, after this point, you can chuck that dwarven compendium, forget it, get that out of your backpack and free up that space, because we don't need it again. Okay, so following this outcome, you then fight Scorpius. He has a nasty venom ability, but otherwise I tested the fight, it was not a problem. Out of his rewards, I would have been very tempted to take the spear, Dark Malice, because we lose bleed, but it's not a huge issue because we're going to be getting that back later, that ability later. So, you know, I would take Dark Malice if you're following this route. I really would. I think it's for that brawn boost, and you get Impale, which is nice and great ability. So that's my advice. Okay, so the other outcome is when you roll 5 or 6, you end up fighting the angler fish. Note that this is another fight that's been patched. He now has a speed of 10. Again, I fought this one just for the sake of it, to test it. Absolutely easy kill, led with piercing, and then for all my other attacks, I just ran in and got swallowed by the fish. You take 5 damage, but you're just smacking through, ignoring his armor. Easy win. But the rewards, unfortunately, are complete garbage. But you do get a treasure map, and that will give you a number. So if you look at the treasure map, you'll see that you have a path east, south, and then west. So all you need to do is just rearrange those 3 numbers to follow that route. And then you'll get to a special secret entry where you'll get 100 gold crowns, which is awesome. And I would take the Serpent's Coil Ring because it gives you Immobilize, which is a great speed ability, like webbed. And I would replace the Wayfarer's Ring with the Serpent's Coil. You lose an armor, but Immobilize is just superb. Anyway, so I think I got the worst option out of those 3 in a lot of ways. But I'll leave it up to you how you want to navigate through that little part. Anyway, continue on to 304 and 4, and then on to 486, and we eventually move on to our next big battle with a massive stone giant. So he is kind of tough. because he's immune to an absolute load of stuff. Piercing, impale, bleed, venom, thorns, barbs, and light. So basically everything apart from fire aura, which is what we have. Yeah, so fire aura will do passive damage to him. I was lucky to have those boots, I guess, that have steadfast, so I could ignore his knockdown ability, which can be pretty bad. But I mean, we are at 11 speed anyway. Reducing it, having to reduce your speed by 1 if it happens isn't like, you know, hideous. So yeah, good luck with the fight, and see you in a moment. Okay, so in my fight, it was completely, utterly one-sided. I absolutely pulverized the giant. Probably down to the fact that we just have good brawn. And then remember that that's getting boosted after 2 wins with Blood Rage. I didn't lose a round. And even if I had done so, I would have used Headbutt to block his damage. So yeah, you shouldn't have a problem. We are pretty over-leveled, I think, for this quest in general. So following that, we get some more herbs. Thimble Sage, Toponica Bulb, and a Black Orchid. Toponica Bulb is good because with a root grass, we can make a +4 Brawn potion. And I think that will be really great. And Thimble Sage and Root Grass makes us a +10 heal potion. Again, great. The Black Orchid, ignore, it's irrelevant because we didn't keep the ghoul hair from Act 1. And just to reiterate, we can ditch both books. We don't need the Dwarven book anymore, and we don't need Laurie Wald's book of whatever it was called. So just ditch them. Oh, backpack, space back. Thank the Lord. So with our newfound backpack space, I'd advise doing what I've already just said. I would probably cook up a +4 Brawn potion and probably a +10 health. So yeah, I made a note here saying my character sheet by this stage was pretty messy. But according to my notes, I think I have 3 root grass left after making all those. But I wasn't 100% sure. But anyway. Okay, so rewards from the Stone Giant, we don't want any. But do note that the Vigilant Chest Guard has been patched and now has the Watchful ability, which improves that item quite a bit. We have the Breastplate of the Bull, which is much better, so we're not interested. So proceed with the story, go through all the blah, blah, blah. Eventually, we will have the option, because we're a warrior, of taking the Ranger career. And I suggest that we do. We get Lay of the Land, which is a speed ability, which is an extra die for speed, which is great. Nature's Revenge is pretty pants. It does how does that? It does 2 dice of damage and lowers an opponent's speed. But it's instead of running for a damage score, 2 damage die. So it's good against high armor opponents. It's okay. I did think about keeping the Gladiator career for Blood Rage. But anyway, I thought, hey, let's just try being a ranger for a while. Now, if you happen to have backed the Will Companion Kickstarter, you would have this postcard, and this would give you the opportunity at this point to equip Golden Fire, which is Byrne's bow, which gives you, so it's a left-hand item, +1 speed, +5 brawn, so massive brawn. It has a smash fire ability, which basically is a kind of AoE, deals 2 damage to all opponents. Any ones that you kill, you gain 10 health. So it is good, but there's not actually that many combats in Legion of Shadow that are multiple opponents. So I don't think you'll get a massive amount out of that ability. But if you just want a stat stick and you just fancy, fulfilling your Ranger fantasy, then just thought I'd mention this item. And of course, all of the Kickstarter or promotional items are in the player's guide if you want to check them out. Okay, so then chat to the queen after, continue to chat to the Dryad Queen, and then we accompany Byrne to Cornelius's cottage. Okay, so we're immediately attacked by a shadow terror. This has been massively patched. It now starts with just 4 armor. So it's just its armor's been reduced. It used to start with 6, it's now 4. It makes it a lot easier fight. So we have like 3 passive damage anyway, hitting it around. We've got piercing, we've got good brawn. Super easy win. Afterwards, absorb the magic. This is important for +2 brawn for our next 2 combats. So for me, this brought me up to 15. If you didn't cheat and took the mane of the Black Lion as your headpiece, that would bring you to 14 brawn. But you have Seer, so don't shout at me too much. Okay, so enter the cottage. We get a kind of ring, which is a narrative thing, which actually has absolutely no consequence. Yes, I took the pendant of foresight, because it's better than the beetle shell garland, and I think evade I prefer over charm. Doesn't have any stat change. Okay, that ends the quest. So while we have our +2 brawn boost, let's go and hack down Barkrot. He is a legendary monster at 357. We can't use any abilities in this fight, so it's down to just our raw damage and stats, but with 15/14 brawn, depending on choices. Because of that boost, we're in a really good shape to take him down. So yeah, just get hacking. Because it's super easy, and it will make us feel really good that we're just literally chopping down a legendary monster. We could have done this guy earlier, actually, but his loot it's not super crucial. Anyway, according to my notes, I had him down in 3 rounds. Go warrior. So loot-wise, okay, so note that the bark skin greaves have been patched to now have 2 brawn. I do think we're good, but I ended up taking the Dryad's band for thorn armor and replacing my Wayfarer's band. So I lose 1 armor and charm, but I get thorn armor. I just thought it was more useful. Not a major upgrade. If you chose to take, depending on your route in the previous Unicorn's Horn, you might have, is it the Serpentine Loop or something that had Immobilize or something? I could definitely just keep that. So after that, my stats were 11 speed, 13 brawn, 15 with the buff, 1 armor. So yeah, armor's low, we're kind of squishy, but we'll be fine. And so while we've got another combat with this buff, it's time for a pretty tough enemy, and it's Snapjaw, who is a much loathed legendary monster because of just the ridiculous damage that this giant carnivorous plant can put out. So Snapjaw is at 364. I was kind of nervous about this, but I thought, you know what, let's just have a shot at this and see how we get on. I ditched at this point my gold detector, and I went back to town and I bought a mottled marsh stick, which is a mushroom at entry 362. Cost me 40 gold, bringing me down to 311 gold, but it gives you +3 speed for 2 combat rounds, but then you do suffer a -1 speed disadvantage. I thought it's nice to have. We can pop it if things are starting to look pretty awful. So Snapjaw. So basically this is a massive DPS race. We have to literally kill it before the vine damage wipes us out. I had 2 +10 heals in my backpack, a +4 brawn, the 1 troll's blood left, and the marsh stick. So I was like, okay, it's time to go big or go home. So go for it, guys. Go for it and try and chop down that plant. So good luck, and when you're done, I'll kind of let you know how I got on. Okay, so How was that for you guys? For me, well, after all my preparations and my doom and gloom, and like, oh my gosh, you know, is this a massive, really bad choice? I smashed it pretty easily. He got up to -8 damage on me, so I was down to 25 health. But yeah, I used Charge in the first round, then I used Lay of the Land. I used Fearless from my main of the Black Lion. I used Trickster. So I won all of all the rounds. So I was hitting every round, plus passive damage of 3. It was actually a pretty easy win. I didn't use any of my pots. And I think it helps in this combat that we're warriors and we have that big health pool of 45 health. Yeah, I think it's just such a tougher fight for like rogues and mages. So yeah, loot. We're finally gonna get the barbed bracers, just to break the game even more. Because it gives us another passive, which is barbs. We can finally say goodbye to those mason's gloves, and hello to +2 armor. And as I said, the barb's ability. We lose first cut, but don't really need it now. So after that fight, we lose our brawn buff, but I think we've made pretty good use of it. So I'm back to 13. Yeah, I'm just so surprised. I think I just kept writing my notes. I can't believe I did this. I really was expecting Snapjaw to be one of those ones that I'd probably get absolutely smashed on and I have to come back to it. But yeah, I just think this build is doing what it needs to do, which is just winning rounds and just dishing out damage. And we can control combat rounds pretty well with our speed abilities. And bear in mind now, we can do 4 passive damage a turn through barbs, fire aura, thorns, and bleed if you've kept it. Okay, so moving on, it's time for the Sunken City, which is the red quest. This is where we're going to be choosing our route carefully to really gear up to insane levels to prepare for Act 3 and to smash our way through the rest of the arena. So head to 343 and we start the Sunken City. We meet a bunch of mercenaries and their captain, Sana. Wonder if we'll meet her again. So chat to her, ask why she needs volunteers, offer your services to get the quest going, and you'll be sent on a journey to get a dwarven crown from a sunken city. Yeah, I'll let you read the grisly details of what happens next. Then proceed down, proceed with diving into the lake. We finally come to the dwarven ruins. Swim to the hole at the top. This will trigger our battle with Calamari. The ink bomb ability is super annoying. I mean, we can easily lose a round just due to bad luck. But, you know, it wasn't too tough for me at all. He whacked me with some big hits. He got me down to 16 health. Probably kind of due to the fact that we basically hardly got any armor. But, you know, otherwise I kind of ate through his health really fast with just my regular damage and all that passive damage. Yeah, so we don't really need anything, but I wanted to do this encounter because I wanted to highlight how all 3 items of his have changed in the patch notes, and they're a lot better and no longer just a boring afterthought. So Ink-Stained Vest is now 2 speed, 2 brawn with the steel ability. The bandana now has Faint ability, and the boots now have the sure-footed ability. So they all have abilities, and the Ink-Stained Vest has had a brawn boost. So yeah, I've put a note here. I was kind of conflicted about taking the boots. Blah, 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 but I didn't. Oh yeah, because I didn't really want to lose 2 brawn. But sure-footed isn't that. Yeah, and I have steadfast. That was it. And I actually was thinking steadfast is kind of helpful. So yeah, I didn't take anything. So press on. We come to a dwarven puzzle. We don't need anything from it. And we haven't taken the stone tablet, so just forget that. Then carry on. When you finally come to the mysterious crown, we are going to just go for it and grab it like the thieves that we are. And then, whoopsie, it's a trap. It's a trap. So we end up falling down a pit, and we get immediately set on by some hungry raptors. So these guys are really nasty because of their piercing ability, but you know, the way we are geared and built, they shouldn't be hitting us too often. So yeah, it's an easy fight. They can be pretty scary, but it was an easy fight for me, and I'm sure it will be for you guys. And as you smash that last raptor, they explode with some awesome gear. And I mean awesome. So 590. Just take a moment to look at that choice of items. And what's even better is we get to take up to 2 of those items. Wow. Okay, so first choice is easy. We take the left-hand sword, Deliverance. Deep Wound. If anyone's watched any of my Raiders of Dune Sea guides, they will know how much I talk about Deep Wound and how good it is because it's rolling 2 dice for your damage score. Don't worry that we're losing piercing for now. Don't worry about it. We gain 1 brawn by taking this as well. Second choice, yeah, I put his trick is hard. But I chose to take the Lincoln Green chest to replace the breastplate of the bull. Lose a brawn, but we gain a speed. And I think that is what is really important. And we replace charge with charm. But yeah, I think it's just whenever we see like a chance to increase our speed, we should always take it. Plus, we're a ranger. So Lincoln Green kind of ties into our sort of Robin Hood theme that we've got going on. We also get 50 crowns. If you did keep the gold detector for any reason, then that would be 100 for you. I'm at 361 at the minute. And my stats are now 12 speed, 13 brawn, 3 armor. So we continue on and we end up in the Dower King's Armory at 725. This is quite hard, I seem to remember. Yeah, so we fight the animated weapons. They do 2 passive damage a turn. And then the only passive that we have that works against them is Fire Aura. Better than nothing. But anyway, it's a nice chance for us to try out our new goodies like the Deliverance weapon. So, yeah. So in my fight, it was tough. I had to use one of my plus 10 health potions. Largely because I fluffed a few attack speed rolls. The weapons that hit hard. And it kind of shows really how much those passives do for us in the other combats, which we couldn't use in this one. You know, it really hits home when they're not there doing that passive damage. So yeah, this might take a couple of tries if you don't want to waste any health pots, but I decided to glug a health potion and it got me through it. But it's all worth it because you're about to see our next upgrade at 581. Just when you thought weapons couldn't get any better, take a look at Frenzy. 2 speed, 4 brawn, and cleave. So we're gaining 2 more brawn. We're losing bleed, but we're going to be getting it back pretty soon. And we get cleave, which is a good AoE. I do sing its praises in Raiders of Dune Sea in this book because it's not that super amazing. Because there's not that many combats with multiple opponents. But really just look at it as a stat stick. And yeah. So I've made a note here. If you made other choices and you might have got that spear, Dark Malice from Scorpius, There's an argument to take the boots instead if you just want that extra speed. The Royal Regalia is kind of irrelevant because we didn't take the other item to complete that set, but it's not, I think it's probably worth it for the speed. So if you have Dark Malice, you could go without Frenzy, the Frenzy axe. Okay, anyway, my stats are 12 speed, 15 brawn, 3 armor. Continue on, climb the ladder, continue through the blast hole, then choose to explain your mission to the crazy old hermit. Sea Spray Steve, who is one of the merfolk. You can have chat to him. Yeah, he does have some things for sale. They're super expensive, and the warrior item isn't that great for us. I want to say it's called, is it Black Pearl? But I might have made that up. That might have been for someone else. I don't know. I know the rogue item is pretty good. Anyway, I chose to keep my gold. Anyway, Ed asks what he is doing here. And then when you get the opportunity, buy a borehole charge. Buy one, it's 30 gold. It's a bargain considering how much it's going to help us in our next battle. This brought me down to 331 gold. I also had the backpack space too from using my potion in the fight with the animated weapons. So continue onwards. Don't get him to remove the lamprey worm. Okay. 619, entry 619, we enter the throne room, we see a statue and then the crown. We also see a glowing circle of menacing runes. Do we want to break the circle and rush in? This time we're going to be a bit more clever, having learned that there's a lot of traps in this place. So we're going to try something else. And when prompted, plant a borehole charge. Place it on the throne, because this will reduce the number of extra golems we're going to be fighting. So we end up at entry 658. We have a stone giant to contend with, and we have 2 golems. We can't use thorns and barbs, but we do have fire aura, still doing work for us. We have a +2 speed advantage. Give it a go, see how you get on. Spoiler alert, it's pretty easy. And then I'll explain my fight and my tactics. Okay, so hopefully you smashed your way through that. I just went pretty much for the golems first, basically because we can pretty much one-shot them with the damage that we do plus fire aura. So I just took them out one by one, and then it was just me and the bad guy. He hit me a few times. I was down to 26 health by the end, but deep wound, ended up doing a lovely 11 damage to him. Yeah, and Thorn Armor did 1 damage to him. Great. I always roll really badly when using Thorn Armor. Anyway, that combat was a lot easier because we used the borehole charge. I didn't even use Cleave, which I could have done on the first turn, but I feel like it's a waste of a turn because direct damage just takes out one of those stone elementals each time. So I wouldn't use Cleave. Okay, rewards, 443. Okay, so I took Kagador's cloak. Because bearing in mind, my mane of the black line is on my head. So yeah, Kagador's cloak. So we lose 1 armor and we lose fire aura. From the flame-bathed mantle. I know I've sung its praises, but I think the brawn is good. So yeah, I'm still not quite sure about this, and I actually get a different cloak later. But I will just take Kagador's cloak personally because it really is going to help us in our remaining fights in the arena. So yeah, so our build, it kind of looks like a hot mess at the moment, but it will all sort itself back into shape before Act 3, I promise. So I was at 12 speed, 17 brawn, 2 armor. We may not have much armor, but we are dual wielding 2 massive axes. What's not to love? Okay, so 637, we don't have the Jar of Night Creep, so we proceed to 696. We return with the crown and we get a choice of rings. So we're going to take the Bleed Ring, Lupine Lapis, and I'm going to replace the Dryad's Band with that, so that I'm keeping the Thorns Ring for now. So there's no stat change, but I replaced Thorn Armor, which did absolutely nothing for me whatsoever, with Bleed. So proceed with the quest, have Sana remove the lamprey worm, and because we deliver the crown, we also get 100 gold. So I was back up to about 431 gold. And then entry 623, Sana says, I have a feeling we will meet again one day. Portentous. Okay, so yeah, so back to the map, and probably time for a well-earned break. In the next episode, we are going to be heading back to the arena, and we are going to fight through to the bitter end to get that tasty Berserker career, and then we can smash through into Act 3. So yeah, sorry that was a long one, but hopefully, you know, you found it interesting to hear my thoughts and opinions on the different items and rewards. Hopefully your build is looking really nice, and if you are playing along, that you're enjoying it. Yeah, so thank you for listening, and happy adventuring, guys.